Hello, my darlings, it's Dr. Ruth here, and let me tell you, I've been giving advice about sex for a long time, and you know what I've learned? Pleasuring a woman is not a mystery. It's about understanding her body and knowing the right techniques. Once I learned these 9 moves, I was able to support women in having some of their deepest and most expansive orgasms of their entire lives. So many people are afraid to talk about the clitoris, but it's the key to a woman's pleasure. Yes, you heard me right. So if you don't know how to touch the clitoris and give a woman a proper orgasm, you need to watch this video now. Believe me, if you pay attention and practice these techniques, you'll be able to bring any woman to heights of pleasure she never thought possible. Let's dive into these 9 moves that will support any woman in having a deep orgasm from clitoral stimulation. Let's begin with the basics, shall we? The clitoris, my dears, is a sensitive little bud, and it needs to be treated with care. Imagine you're gently stroking a delicate flower. You wouldn't want to be rough with it, would you? Start by using a light touch, just barely grazing the clitoris with the tip of your finger. Move your finger in slow, gentle circles around the clitoris. Start small and gradually widen the circles as she gets more aroused. Pay attention to her breathing and body language. Is she leaning in, wanting more, or is she pulling away? Communication is key, even without words. As she gets more excited, you can increase the speed and pressure of your circles, but always stay attuned to her responses. Don't be afraid to experiment with different rhythms and speeds. Some women prefer slow and sensual, while others like it a little faster and more intense. The key is to find what works for her. Remember, the clitoris is incredibly sensitive, so a little goes a long way. Circular motions are a wonderful way to start exploring the clitoris and build up to an amazing orgasm. Now that you've mastered the art of circular motions, let's move on to another delightful technique, the up and down. This one is all about creating a rhythmic pattern that will drive her wild. Using 1 or 2 fingers, glide your hand up and down the shaft of the clitoris. Start slowly and gently, gradually increasing the speed and pressure as she gets more aroused. You can vary the length of your strokes, sometimes going all the way from the base to the tip, other times focusing on just the tip itself. Experiment with different rhythms and speeds to see what feels best for her. The up and down technique is a fantastic way to build anticipation and create a deeply satisfying experience for her. So go ahead, give it a try and watch her soar. Remember, communication is key. Now let's spice things up with a little side-to-side action. This technique is all about stimulating those sensitive nerve endings that run along the sides of the clitoris. Place your thumb and forefinger on either side of the clitoris, and gently move them back and forth in a horizontal motion. You can vary the width of your strokes, sometimes staying close to the clitoris, other times venturing a little further out. Experiment with different rhythms and speeds to see what feels best for her, and don't forget about the hood. The clitoral hood is that little flap of skin that covers the clitoris, and it's packed with nerve endings. You can gently stroke the hood from side to side or even use your tongue to tease and tantalize it. The side-to-side technique is a fantastic way to add some variety and excitement to your lovemaking. So go ahead, give it a try and watch her light up with pleasure. Remember, communication is key. Let's take things to the next level with a move that's both playful and passionate, the figure 8. This technique combines circular motions with a bit of a twist, literally. Imagine you're drawing a figure 8 around the clitoris with your fingertip. Start at the top of the clitoris, circle around one side, then cross over and circle around the other side, creating a continuous figure 8 motion. You can vary the size and speed of your figure 8s, sometimes making them small and tight, other times making them large and sweeping. Experiment with different rhythms and pressures to see what feels best for her. The figure 8 technique is a fantastic way to add some variety and excitement to your lovemaking. So go ahead, give it a try and watch her light up with pleasure. Remember, communication is key. Sometimes the most exquisite sensations come from the lightest touch. Light tapping is a fantastic technique for building anticipation and creating a teasing sensation that will drive her wild. Using 1 or 2 fingers, lightly tap the clitoris, varying the speed and rhythm of your taps. You can tap all over the clitoris, or focus on specific areas, like the tip or the sides. Experiment with different tapping patterns, like alternating between fast and slow taps, or using a light drumming motion. Light tapping is a fantastic way to add some playful teasing to your lovemaking. So go ahead, give it a try and watch her squirm with anticipation. And don't be afraid to use both hands. You can tap with one hand while using another technique like circular motions or up and down strokes with the other. Remember, communication is key. Now let's talk about a technique that can be incredibly intense and pleasurable for women sucking. When done correctly, sucking can create a powerful suction that draws blood to the clitoris, increasing sensitivity and enhancing arousal. Start by gently kissing and licking around the clitoris, warming up the area with your mouth. Once she's aroused, you can start incorporating some gentle sucking. Place your lips around the clitoris and gently suck, as if you're sucking on a straw. You don't need to suck hard, in fact. Too much suction can be painful. The key is to create a gentle vacuum that draws the clitoris into your mouth. Sucking is a technique that requires trust and communication, but when done right, it can be an incredibly pleasurable experience for both partners. Remember, communication is key. Let's talk about a modern marvel that can take clitoral stimulation to a whole new level: vibration. Vibrators come in all shapes and sizes, and they can be a fantastic way to add some extra oomph to your lovemaking. If you're using a vibrator, start by choosing one that's comfortable for both of you. Start by placing the vibrator on the clitoris, using light pressure. You can experiment with different vibration settings, starting with a low setting and gradually increasing the intensity as she gets more aroused. You can move the vibrator around the clitoris, exploring different areas and finding what feels best for her. You can also use the vibrator in conjunction with other techniques like circular motions or up and down strokes. Vibration can be an incredibly intense and pleasurable experience for women, so go ahead, embrace the power of technology and watch her soar. And don't forget about your fingers. You can create a vibrating sensation with your fingers by rapidly moving them back and forth over the clitoris. Remember, communication is key. Variety is the spice of life, and it's also the key to keeping things exciting in the bedroom. Varying the pressure you use when stimulating the clitoris can create a range of sensations, from gentle teasing to intense pleasure. Think of it like playing an instrument. You wouldn't just hit the same note over and over again, would you? You'd vary the pressure and rhythm to create a melody. The same goes for clitoral stimulation. Start with a light touch, barely grazing the clitoris with your fingertips. As she gets more aroused, you can gradually increase the pressure, using your fingertips, your palm, or even your whole hand to stimulate the clitoris. You can also alternate between light and firm pressure, creating a teasing sensation that will drive her wild. Experiment with different pressure variations, finding what feels best for her. Varying the pressure is a fantastic way to add some excitement and keep things interesting in the bedroom, so go ahead, experiment and find what works best for both of you. Remember, communication is key. Now that you've mastered the individual techniques, it's time to take things to the next level by combining them. This is where you can really get creative and find what works best for your partner. Think of it like cooking a gourmet meal. You wouldn't just serve one ingredient on its own, would you? You'd combine different flavors and textures to create a symphony of taste. The same goes for clitoral stimulation. You can start by combining two simple techniques like circular motions and up and down strokes. Once you're comfortable with that, you can start adding in other techniques like side-to-side motions, figure eights, or light tapping. Combining different techniques is where you can really let your creativity shine and create an unforgettable experience for your partner. So, go ahead, experiment and have fun. And don't forget about your other senses. You can incorporate kissing, licking, sucking, and even biting gently into the mix, creating a multisensory experience that will leave her breathless. Remember, communication is key. So there you have it, my darlings. 9 powerful moves to help you become a master of clitoral stimulation. Remember, every woman is different, so take the time to explore and find out what she enjoys the most. Communication is key, so don't be afraid to ask her what feels good. The more you communicate and experiment, the better you'll become at pleasuring her. Now go forth and make some magic. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tips on enhancing your intimate life. Treat a woman's sexuality with respect and reverence.